Hello, my name is Eric and my partner's name is Raymond. Our presentation is about how the People's Bank of China is poised to be the first major central bank to issue a digital version of its own currency.
Here's the agenda of what we will be going over in our presentation. We will start with an introduction to cryptocurrency and see what it is, how it works, and look at a few examples of altcoins and digital wallets. We'll follow this with an introduction to China's digital currency electronic payment project, the Digital Yuan. Then we will look at the impacts this might have on the traditional ledgers, currency standards, and reserves. Finally, we will finish with a conclusion.
In this section, we'll be giving an introduction to cryptocurrencies that will be best suited for individuals with beginner to intermediate knowledge on the topic. So what is cryptocurrency? Well, it's a digital money that is created from code. Cryptocurrency has no intrinsic value, but society gave it value. A common interview question I've noticed is when employers ask you to pretend to explain a complicated concept to a child. My answer to this question would be to think of cryptocurrencies as gold bars in Candy Crush. The gold bars can be bought with real money and used to purchase extra lives or other in-game advantages. But you cannot use the gold bars to purchase McDonald's, since the gold bars have no value to McDonald's. Although, it's possible to exchange gold bars in the game with other players who see value in them and would be willing to pay real money for them. These digital currencies have no physical form, they only exist on the network. Cryptocurrencies are generally monitored by a peer-to-peer internet protocol. This means the currency data is sent from one computer to the other over the internet without the need for a central server. In a way, each computer is its own server. Blockchain is the underlying code that computers in the network use to communicate and preserve the integrity of the currency. Blockchain is a new technology that many people are calling the next generation of the internet. This technology is also used to monitor supply chains, transfer land ownership, and will soon be used to store digital wills on blockchain networks. Now let's look at an example of how this works.
This example is going to walk through a simple financial transaction. Suppose that Eric wants to send 100 digital loonies to Ray. A file is created that contains Eric's transaction request and is digitally signed by Eric. Then his transaction is broadcasted to the network and sent from one peer to every other peer. Peers on the network who have been approved to mine detect this transaction and determine if it's legitimate. Once it's verified, miners start competing to solve an encrypted puzzle that is unique to this specific transaction's data. The winner records the transaction and current time in a new data block and is paid for their hard work. Finally, the data block is added to the existing blockchain and the transaction is now complete. The blockchains function as a ledger, which every peer on the network keeps an up-to-date copy of. A ledger is just a computer file for recording and totaling economic transactions. Since every peer on the network has a copy of the ledger, we say that the ledger is decentralized.
Now let's look at an example of a transaction request that gets denied. I make a transaction that involves a digitally signed file being sent that says, Eric gives 100 digital loonies to Ray and 100 digital loonies to Lee. Then I broadcast the transaction request to the other peers in the network to be verified and hopefully added to the chain if everything goes well. Everyone on the network can see on the chain that this transaction is invalid because I only actually have 100 digital loonies and can't trick everyone on the network at the same time. So now the network declines the transaction and no data block is created to be added to the blockchain, which is also known as the ledger. The same thing would happen if I tried to send, say, 500 digital loonies to Ray. It's extremely hard to hack, and that's what makes this technology so secure.
Now let's look at a couple popular cryptocurrencies and compare them to digital wallets. I'm sure you've all heard of Bitcoin, which is a decentralized cryptocurrency that no entity controls and whose value isn't backed by any assets. Since the release of Bitcoin in 2009, over 6,000 other cryptocurrencies, also known as altcoins, have been created. However, the digital currency arena is still wide open. Libra is a decentralized cryptocurrency controlled by Facebook whose value is backed by a basket of underlying assets. Many analysts believe that Facebook's Libra is what pushed the People's Bank of China to accelerate its yuan cryptocurrency development in the hopes of keeping control of its financial system. In 2019, China banned all cryptocurrency transactions, signifying that no other digital currencies will be used within their territory. The digital yuan will be decentralized, controlled by the People's Bank of China, and have value fully backed by the central bank of the world's second largest economy, that is, the People's Bank of China. It's important to distinguish between cryptocurrencies and digital wallets. A digital wallet is simply an electronic device that allows registered users to make electronic transactions. Apple Pay is a digital wallet that can be used to make purchases with cryptocurrencies. Electronic payment services like WeChat and Alipay are already widely available across China, and some reports have suggested that the People's Bank of China plans to partner with providers of services like WeChat and Alipay. Anyway, the use of digital currency shouldn't be difficult for consumers to use and will likely further expand the use of digital wallets. Let's take a quick look at how widely mobile payments are being adopted in China. China has approximately 577 million mobile payment users, which is by far the largest in the world, and that represents nearly 50% of the population, and this number has grown 10% since last year. Alipay and WeChat are the most widely used mobile payment methods in China, with Apple Pay only being responsible for 5% of mobile payments. Mobile payment methods are very popular in China because most internet users' first device was a mobile phone due to their mobile-first market. Moreover, when digital payment options Alipay and WeChat were first introduced, credit card ownership was extremely low.
Here's a deeper look into what we know about the Digital Yuan, which is China's digital currency electronic payment project. It has been in the works for at least 5 years, and its launch has been delayed due to the coronavirus, since the sovereign currency development isn't the primary concern anymore. However, China is still hoping to launch the Chinese digital yuan this year. Singapore, Canada, and Switzerland are among other countries who are doing advanced trials of a central bank-backed digital currency, but China is likely to be the first to launch. China's plan is not to create a new currency, but to partially digitize their existing monetary base. Unlike other cryptocurrencies, the digital yuan's volatility would be nowhere near as extreme. But it will be weighed down with a particular flaw. Its value will change in sync with the Chinese yuan. The background of this slide is actually a screenshot of the US dollar and Chinese yuan forex chart. For those who don't know, a forex chart graphically shows historical behavior of the relative price movements between two currencies. You can see here between 2005 and 2020, its price fluctuated between 8.28 and 7.09 yuan. Since the digital yuan will derive its value from the physical yuan, we could expect similar volatility from the digital currency. Although the forex chart in the previous slide made the yuan seem quite volatile, you can see here that when compared to Bitcoin's price chart, the yuan's price fluctuation seemed almost completely flat. Finally, ownership through digital wallets will track to whom the funds are transferred. This will allow authorities to trace the trajectory, in other words, all the hands it's touched, of the issued currency, whether overseas or to criminals in China. Now that we have a better understanding of what a Chinese digital currency could look like, let's investigate some of the potential global and domestic impacts it might have.
The first impact is on the ledger. The traditional banking system requires distant fund transfers to pass through multiple interlinked intermediaries since there's no worldwide ledger that includes both the sender and receiver. Blockchain, on the other hand, as we learned earlier in the presentation, has a decentralized ledger that is being tracked by miners in the network. The expensive fees charged by intermediaries for transferring funds are avoided with cryptocurrencies. Blockchain also expedites the transfer since transactions can be authenticated 24/7, often within a few seconds instead of a few days. The second impact is on currency standard. A central bank-backed digital currency, such as the digital yuan, has the potential of disrupting current currency dominance in the world. The US dollar is currently the global leader in global payments by currency, But the digital yuan has the potential to change this standard because of its ability to complete financial transactions in a fraction of the time and at a fraction of the cost. The third and final impact that we are going to outline for you today is on reserves. Any digital currencies or payment services that are out of a country's control are a threat to that country's financial security. Central banks around the world, including the Bank of Canada, have teamed up to share experiences as they assess the potential cases for central bank-backed digital currencies in their own jurisdictions. Moreover, members of this team have expressed their concerns for the digital yuan's potential to replace the US dollar as the current world's reserve currency.
China's impact on the cryptocurrency industry must not be overlooked. The emergence of the digital yuan has several far-reaching global implications. By making much of the world's consumer goods, China has already dominated the global economy. So what happens when it produces the world's most powerful legal payment platform and induces others to use it while buying the goods? All of a sudden, the US is facing a serious danger of ceasing to be the world's payment and reserve currency. China could utilize their digital currency for competitive trade advantages and potentially even initiate an economic warfare. If other central banks around the globe don't introduce their own digital currencies in the near future, it's possible that one day you will be making everyday purchases with the digital yuan.